Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 190 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on July 15th, 2019.
My name is Ian. I'm a hobby farmer on Vancouver Island. I'm the official Western diversity hire until I'm killed or they find somebody better.
David Eisel, action shooter, PR director for the ORA, and all-around outdoorsman.
Person who doesn't write in their intro.
Hi, I'm Benny. I live in Toronto. Sorry.
I'm Marty, hunter and sports shooter in rural southern Ontario.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
Glad somebody was on the show notes.
Check the podcast out at Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram, www.instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. You should visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon today. You get a debatably better quality version of the show. By better, I mean the bit rate is higher, so we sound crisper and more poppy. It's $1 an episode, and the more you pledge, the better the rewards are. You can get a picture drawn by Gavin. There's some other stuff. It's a good time. I appreciate your one fucking $1. And to show you're not a communist, you should buy a CPP t-shirt. You can go to CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, follow the link on the homepage all the way on the right. That'll take you to Ragnarok Tactical, the official t-shirt merchants of CPP. T-shirts are $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Now it's time for What Are We Drinking? Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you, no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. Now we get to do What Are We Drinking? We'll go left to right on my screen. That's how we usually do it. Always going towards the right. We'll start with Dave.
I'm doing a little double fisting action, rehydrating, and some Michelob Ultra tonight. Still super dehydrated from a ridiculous amount of shooting over the weekend and building and tearing down. It was good fun, but I'm very tired. Yeah, a lot of drinking.
I hear that. Ian, what are you drinking?
Well, since Gavin's not here tonight and I brought a bottle to Drumheller for no reason, now I'm drinking Jack Daniels and Coke Zero.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That is unfortunate.
Marty, what are you drinking?
I have some Sam Adams Sam 76 that followed me home from America.
Well, it's a good thing it didn't follow you home from Quebec. That's illegal. Benny,
I never had this beer before, but it's quite good.
Okay. I'm curious, what is it? Sam 76. You said it was Samuel Adams?
Yeah.
Is it like
I don't know,
1776? Is that the joke?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think Sam Adams is actually one of the oldest. The company that makes Sam Adams is one of the oldest breweries in the States, isn't it?
Is it still owned by itself?
Well, it's probably they're all owned by the
just
big
a
three.
lager, but it's a lager that has taste, which is unusual.
I'm already super confused.
About?
Just in general, Marty's description of this beer. So, all right, let's go on to things that we've done recently. I mean, kind of. That's not usually the format that we do on this show, but since Dave and I are here, and we've already established that Dave is my new heterosexual life shooting partner, let's talk about OPMSL Match 2, Op Missile, the Ontario Practical Multi-Gun Shooting League, because we couldn't come up with a shorter name.
Op Missile sounds pretty cool, though.
Op Missile is pretty cool.
I thought you guys were just trying to rip off OPSL.
Until you, of course, well, if you guys branch out to different provinces, then what are you going to call it? Like BC Missile?
I mean, that's still pretty
National
good.
Missile.
I mean, yeah, we didn't realize that we had a small conflict with an IPSC group until after we already bought a domain and set up a Facebook page, and then we realized that we weren't the first result. And...
Oh, I know which one you're talking about there. Yeah, it's pretty big too.
Yeah,
we can do. Anyways, the match.
Just be bigger and better. So yeah, match 2 in Guelph, Ontario this weekend, attended by
60
40
competitors?
Yeah, something on there.
60-ish? Yeah, something like that, give or take.
60-ish.
Yeah. I mean, there was us, and then, there's a few cancellations and people watching and stuff, but everything I've seen on the social medias from everybody that's posted, following, everybody had a great time. Love the stages.
Everyone, yes, definitely. All of the social media stuff that I've seen has been positive. Watching a lot of videos and pictures, we definitely did not set up the ranges in a way that was social media friendly. So there were a lot of things that, even as an RO, that I was there, I'm like, oh, that looks bad. Like, that looks really bad. But it's like, but when you were actually there, it was like, oh, this is 100% safe and this will not be a problem. But yeah, some of the videography definitely looks questionable. But no one was injured or killed, and no baby seals were clubbed in the making of this match. So I would say it was a success.
Yeah, I took extreme pride in my stage, actually, with I got to RO it all morning, and basically you started the stage shooting from a barricade with your rifle. Basically I made it so you're gonna have to camp the rifle at least a little bit. Some guys more than others, depending on how high their scope was mounted. So they were struggling right away on that. And then I was making them get into like a 2-foot shooting box prone with little slits cut out in the sides of it. And watching people struggle on that thing all day long was just so awesome, with getting misfeeds, holding their rifle too close to the wall, trying to do mag reloads on the ground, because the opposite side, they'd have to shoot offhand, prone. Just watching the struggles all day was great. And even the people that commented online were just saying, yeah, it was a simple but challenging course of fire, and it was really rewarding to watch people struggle through it.
Yeah, you wouldn't think shooting prone would be that hard, and 30
I
or
made
40 rounds later, when people were timing out.
Yeah, you got to RO that in the afternoon, right?
I did for a little bit. I was the placeholder floater RO for a while for the day to fill in the gaps where I could. And I got to RO your stage. I got to RO the stage that Gavin, one of our regular panelists who's not here today, I got to RO his stage for a significant portion of the day, which was also good. I enjoyed both of your stages. Had relatively demanding physical challenges, which was a nice thing to see incorporated. We have physical challenges now in the 2-gun match. So I guess background for people that are listening that don't know OPMSL, it's our 2-gun league. A bunch of our shooting friends have decided that we didn't have enough good 2-gun in Southern Ontario, and we weren't getting the kind of shooting that we wanted, so we were cajoled into making our own thing.
So are you guys posting your videos on your website or Facebook, or?
They're on. You can find mine on Instagram. Lots of them.
Yeah, I would say that the individual shooters are posting their videos, and generally on their own Instagram accounts. But the place to check on Instagram is, I think it's Ontario Multigun is the Instagram account.
Yeah, it is.
I will intern that. Oh, it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at Ontario Multigun, if you look there, generally people have been tagging that in their photos and videos.
Yeah.
So Dave's stage, you had 2 weighted ammo cans that had to be carried. What was that? 50, about 40 yards down the range? 50 yards?
Yeah. 50 cal ammo cans had to go approximately 25 meters. So yeah, like 40 yards down to the end. And then I was getting them breathing hard. And then when they got to the end of the running, they actually had to open one of the ammo cans to find one of 4 ace playing cards, which corresponded to targets that they had to engage. So if there was an ace of diamonds, they had to then engage all the ace of diamonds that were in the target array. So they had to look around, scan, shoot, and then finish it off with some steel. So you could definitely see people thinking, oh, shoot. And then, a couple guys ended up shooting all the black ones. I don't know how that happened, even though he got like an ace of spades. He ended up shooting both black. I don't know if he just couldn't remember what it was. So at least he gets some points. I don't know what he was thinking. But again, trying to get people to think on my stage, struggle, and then also getting them breathing. It was just a good mix of a lot of simple but
that's a cool idea.
Thanks.
That's a cool idea with the playing card. I thought that was really smart.
Yeah, I got that. Got it from IFSIC a long time ago, but yeah, I thought that was I always admired that stage because I shot it myself, like something similar, not quite the exact same, but it definitely like gets that brain thinking instead of just, kind of, autopilot shooting and moving on. You have to think about what you're doing.
I've never heard of that before. That's really cool.
No, it was good. Gavins Stage, there was a dummy wearing plates that weighed, I don't know, the dummy with the plates and everything was probably 40 odd pounds.
Yeah, that was
So there
that
was a
stage was a lot of fun too. Yeah, you're like
dummy
dragging
recovery.
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan was kind of short. He didn't have no legs, so you had to drag him back up range while you were engaging targets with your handgun in a very, very safe manner.
Mm.
So it was engage everything with the rifle, run down range, grab Lieutenant Dan, run back up range, engage everything again with your pistol, which was challenging.
And don't leave Lieutenant Dan behind.
Yeah. So lots of barricade shooting, not particularly technical shooting, but just difficult to have to do stuff with the dummy and drag him around while you're trying to navigate the course. We had a stage with a staircase prop that you had to climb up and shoot, sort of not entirely dissimilar from how some roof props are done for PRS style shooting.
Yeah, it's like a steep roof that you had to get to the top of and then draw and shoot. It was I went up it there. We offered people a walk around, kind of like a long way around, and then shoot underneath it, basically. And then for everybody else, go up the stairs. I chose to go up the stairs. It was why it was built. I wanted to get
Oh,
make
and
use
they
of the
were. I
stage.
mean, Tyler's stairs were solid. You could set your
yeah.
watch by those stairs.
Yeah, no, they didn't feel rickety at all. No, it was a solid setup. So it was fun.
That was good. And we had
cool
a
angle to shoot from. I've never shot that before.
Yeah, shooting down into target arrays in the berms was fun. The other stage that we had, I don't think had any technical or athletic challenges. It was sort of just a
Feel good
spray
stage.
and pray, run real fast, shoot all the things.
Yeah, it was like more of a feel good stage, I'd say. Good for me. That was my last stage. It was a nice way to end the day. But yeah, on the whole, like I said, everybody had fun and everybody went home safe. No extra holes, so it was a good day.
Yeah, I think it was a solid match. And we do divide it up into fields. I don't remember how many people we had in the different categories. There was a good number of people shooting operator, though. So the operator class, you do need to wear a helmet. Doesn't have to be a ballistic helmet or even a tactical helmet. One guy does it in a bicycle helmet, which is very entertaining. But you do have to wear a helmet and some sort of rigid plate, not necessarily ballistic body armor, but something approximating body armor. So as long as you're wearing rigid plates and it's got some weight to it and it doesn't flex and bend, it's good to go. So there were 10 people that were shooting the operator class. They have to carry all their stuff. They have to wear their cool guy gear, and they're not allowed
our ammo and our water for the day as well on us.
Yeah, ammo, water, any tools, equipment, spare parts, etc. And anything that you drop is a penalty, and in most cases is then lost. So retention is important. So all the IDPA players were used to that, and everybody else was all, oh god, all my mags are gone.
Yeah, I had to buy a dump pouch specifically for this league. But it worked out well. Got mine from Select Shooting Supplies, and on Dean's recommendation, it worked out fantastically.
Oh, that's good. Dean is a solid business. Should definitely go to Select Shooting Supplies. I guess match sponsors for the day. OPMSL is sponsored. Prizes and donations and different things come from different places. FOC, Firearms Outlet Canada, has previously been a target sponsor. So they have given us targets.
Actually, I have to mention JR Targets. They supplied the steel for this match, which we have yet.
Yeah, JR Targets in this one was a steel target supplier. Select Shooting Supplies is the title sponsor, and they give away stuff at the matches. Ragnarok Tactical, my little tax shelter, sponsors the league, not only in my time and effort, but also in that we give out first aid kits to people. We have a random draw. Somebody gets tourniquets and bandages.
Yep.
And then I think that's everybody that's currently sponsoring.
I think so.
More sponsorships are available. If you own a business and are listening, we will take your money. We're not picky.
We'll post your shit everywhere.
Yeah, we're like a liberal alliance party. We'll let anybody in as long as you have money. Or the incredibly loud dogs running up and down my stairs for no apparent reason. Apparently we'll let anybody in. Of course, we also have a special shout out. We have one shooter that decided they didn't want to play by the rules, so they brought equipment that doesn't fit into any of our divisions. And they were also the only person to leave stuff at the range. So special shout out to my friend Tommy. Thanks, Tommy. Stop texting me. I don't know where your raincoat is.
Yeah, you guys you really need an open division still.
Or everybody could just shoot in one of the many divisions that we've painstakingly created.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the what's the division? Non-compliance division.
Yeah, but I think we're going to change that. I'm going to make a motion at the next advisory committee that we change that to the Tommy division. It's 2 matches, and we've only had 1 shooter in that division, and it's been the same guy both times.
Henceforth, shall be
What
known as.
bumped him to non-compliance this time?
Same as always, pistol optics.
Pistol optics, no helmet. Or what's he trying to shoot? Recruit, I imagine.
I think he
Yeah,
doesn't
so
care. I think that's the big.
Yeah.
I look at it as that he came in first in his division.
Yeah.
He probably would have came first in the other divisions as well, I'd guess.
We need to come up with some sort of weighting scheme as well for like the operators, as that's supposed to be our top tier. And we obviously are going to take longer since we're doing mag retention reloads and stuff. I still managed to go 10th overall on the match, but obviously I'm operator, right? So, and the guy that
you are incredibly operator. You have a lot of multicam,
right? Operators,
You're-
fuck.
Well, I think should just be a wake up for people doing that kind of stuff. That like it's not optimal.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting in that method and retaining your mags and trying to do all that stuff, it's not optimal.
Well,
it's
yeah.
slow. It's inefficient. Like
We're trying to do like real world shooting though, right? So to
yeah,
speak.
but like that's right. But like, I think it's good that you're like you see that. Like you should see that, so that way, like you're like, yeah, this is slow and inefficient doing it this way. There's times when it makes sense to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's time, you know what I mean? Like I think it's important that you see that.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't try and like handicap the results so that like the slow people win. That doesn't make sense.
Not handicap the results, but I don't know. Like I'm wearing I'm wearing plates. I'm wearing helmet, doing magnet retention reloads. I mean, we do have each division scored
that makes you
out,
slower.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But it's because it's harder, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the thing to take from this is you came in 10th with all of your extra nonsense.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty psyched at where I finished. Pretty happy with that. Second in operator, so it was a good weekend for sure.
It was good. So yeah, Friday set up all day. Dave and I, of course, arrived promptly at the agreed upon time and immediately set up his stage and had to wait patiently for everyone else.
Yeah, we already crushed it. We were already like 4 deep by the time those guys showed up.
Allegedly.
Approximately.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't get home until after 9 on Saturday night and got 4 hours of sleep, and we got up and we went and shot surface rifle practice.
Yeah, we went to Borden again.
Yeah.
Bright and early at McDonald's.
Yeah. Dave and I had a very good weekend of shooting.
It was.
Do you have any other op missile things? Missile comments?
We need more help. More help next match.
You can support the show by different kind of help. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, help for op missile for setting up, tear down. We need people's help. It would be.
Yeah, if you're near Southern Ontario, you should come and play guns with us. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'd say even better than that would be if you want to run a match at your club.
Oh yeah,
we have the rule sets available, and contact anyone at the show here, and we'll get you set up, and we can run op missile matches at other clubs.
Speaking of other clubs, I returned that Texas Star to that other club, Marty.
Excellent.
So thank you for its use.
Yep.
Almost.
Shall we? I was very upset that I got it there and no one had a plan for it. It weighs a lot, and it was very difficult for me to put it in my truck by myself.
Did it not get used?
Oh, it got used.
No, it got used, but it was very close to not being
under some duress and hemming and hawing. It got used.
Yeah. There's a lot of cussing about how much effort it took to get the darn thing.
Yeah, it's it's a fun. Like I just watched the match I shot this weekend. Like one of the stages was 2 Texas stars and some other steel and stuff like that. And it's like they're fun to shoot, but they're a pain in the ass to reset.
Yeah, it's a 2-person job, basically.
Yeah.
All right, shall we do some news?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's terrible. You need to get a mic button.
Who's that?
Sorry, listeners, I'm not going back and cutting that out.
That's you, Dave.
Oh, my bad.
First article is on the National Post. Insane and irresponsible. An MP talking about government, and I could not agree more. Although for different reasons than I imagine that he thinks. So the parliamentary secretary to the leader of the government. So this is like a deputy leader of the Liberal Party. Kevin Lemieux raises in question period last week and saying that the high-stress, high-stakes environment of politics, along with the relentless work schedules and bouts of politically motivated marathon voting, are one day going to kill someone.
Hey, you know what else kills people?
Government.
An overreaching government.
Yeah.
High taxes.
So,
sorry, bud.
so
if you
specifically
can't
what he's
handle
talking. So say specifically what he's talking about here is earlier this spring we had the 30-hour voting marathon that was triggered by the Conservatives against the budget bill, I believe it was.
It was the budget.
And so it has to be because it has to be specific bills that they could do this against. So the Conservatives knew that it's a majority government for the Liberals, so there's very little they could do. So this is one of the few things that a minority government in our country can do is, kind of filibuster. And what it does is it forces the Liberals to maintain majority presence in the House for the entire voting period, or else risk a non-confidence vote. And so, yeah, it was a 30-hour voting marathon that these guys all had to sit through, or enough of them had to sit through, and even that is arguable in that they possibly got away with a vote during this one, but.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for him. He had to sit at his office for 30 hours because...
welcome to the real world. Like, Jesus.
I mean, hey, 30 hours straight, that sucks. That sucks no matter what job you're in, no matter who you're in.
Yeah, but
like
when
30 hours
people
straight.
that much, like, you deserve
That's
it.
shitty, right? Like,
I mean,
But it's going to happen to a better bunch.
Do the occasional job for do the occasional 30-hour day for 6 years, you get a pension. That's a pretty good deal.
yeah, like
yeah.
the price you pay for the
I definitely
power you
don't have
wield.
sympathy for them, and he even recognizes that in his thing. He's like, obviously, no one gives a shit about politicians, like, and he's like, but
if they weren't such terrible people, maybe we would have more
snakes.
empathy for them.
Yeah, they weren't such slithery snakes. Maybe we care.
yeah.
But honestly, you wouldn't have to filibuster if they didn't have such like overbearing kind of bills getting passed through the House or attempted to be passed through the House. Maybe they wouldn't have such staunch opposition to it. I mean, maybe if they had the bill is a little more reasonable or common sense.
Yeah, maybe
these
if they
filibusters
listen
wouldn't happen.
maybe if they listen to the Senate advisory committees about stuff that they should change with their ridiculous bills.
Or
hey, maybe they didn't omnibus in special rules for SNC-Lavalin in the budget bill.
Yeah.
Or heaven forbid, listen to the constituents. I mean,
I feel like we
there's
could be here all night.
yeah.
I have some thoughts on this.
Government is inefficient and should be dissolved. I enjoy government functions like I enjoy getting kicked in the nuggets with a steel-toe boot. I think that all government is a waste of taxpayer money. The government should not prop up a failed business. That would be like giving food to... does it take to send a letter to Canada?
Who's it going to?
Canada. It says, "Dear Canada, you."
Andrew, did you roll that? That's all one drop, right?
No, I did that on the fly, but it was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, possibly my favorite part of his article is Tony Clement, our Conservative MP Tony Clement, that was agreeing with this and stating that this was the reason for him sending out dick pics.
Yeah,
the high
again,
stress.
politicians are terrible people.
Because you know what relieves stress? Just sending random dick pics. I
mean, I have not had a positive reception to that, but maybe it's different if you're a politician.
Yeah. I'm so stressed out, man. Hey, check this out.
You know, a good way to blow off some steam? Dick pics.
You guys have some weird ways.
Well, I mean, the conservative politician is not any better than a liberal politician.
I think politicians in general are shitty people, regardless of stripes. So,
right,
I mean,
that's
there's
like
the odd exception.
That tells you what you need to know.
Yeah.
Which is also why I have no sympathy about them. Like, this is literally your job. You not only volunteered for this, you went out of your way to campaign and spend money to get this position. I'm sorry you had to do your job, except for that I'm not. Like, you're not doing an effective job. Be less government.
And again, these filibusters wouldn't last 30 hours if they wouldn't spend every response with all sorts of flowery, like kabuki theater style, like speech that tries to pander to a bunch of special interest groups. If they just get down to the point, stop the BS, these filibusters would be 15 minutes long. But instead,
they wouldn't be filibusters at that point, and that would be better. The government which governs least governs best.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to have marathon voting sessions, and they shouldn't have to have ridiculous hours. And I mean, there's other complaints that they have about, like, their travel schedules and their work schedules, and that Parliament is in session for a very long time. And I agree with them. All of those things are bad, and the entire system should be dismantled because it is inefficient and wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm drawing.
I look at this, and I see them complain about their schedules, and multiple MPs that I've spoken to have said that between 40 to 60% of their time is spent raising funds. It's, they're on the phones trying to raise funds for the party. So when they're complaining about the burdens of their role, when you know that over half, let's just call it 50%, is spent just trying to raise more money for the next election. It's like, we're electing them to do a job, and they're spending half their time just trying to get more money.
Yep.
Now, was it this article that they were talking about the high rate of mental illness
amongst British MPs, which was funny because they said that 1/3 of British MPs suffer from one or more forms of mental problem, which is greater than the general rate in Britain, where it affects 1/4 of the population, which I find both numbers to actually be both surprisingly low and fascinatingly high.
Does being a sociopath qualify as a mental disorder with politicians? Because I think they're all sociopaths.
They don't reference the actual study.
And that's what I'll say. Like, it makes me laugh when I read the article because it seems like they're trying to say that, like, being a politician will cause you to have a mental illness. Whereas my immediate reaction was, yes, people with mental illness want to be politicians.
Yeah, cause and effect. People getting those things mixed up.
Chicken and the egg kind of thing.
Anything else?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then
need less of them.
I only have one final thought for the deputy leader.
I feel I should remind you that I do not believe that the position or the entire government should exist.
Which I feel adequately sums up that article.
Full stop.
Let's do another one. This is a throwback. Monday Night Throwback, is that a thing? Monday Throwback? I don't know. Going back to episode 186, Fuck ISIS. Great episode. Didn't get sued for using some different music for that, which was also a nice surprise. We talked about an article in the Hamilton Spectre about a lawyer that was petitioning a court to have a reduced sentence for their criminal because he was shot in the commission of his home invasion. He's now been sentenced. They reduced the sentence because he was shot during the commission of his home invasion. The criminal received only 6 years. So this was in St. Catharines. We talked about this. This guy was involved in various and sundry burglaries and robberies and home invasions, and he was only robbing the home home invading the home in St. Catharines in which he was shot because he was fueling a drug habit because of a previous botched robbery that he was involved in.
This could work in our favor, actually. Because basically, if a guy breaks into your house, now you can just say, listen, I was just trying to get him a lower sentence.
I was doing him a favor.
I was helping him.
Yeah. Help
Precedent.
me help you. Stand still so I can shoot you.
Really, since we're aware, like at least in this case, that they're going to go on to commit more similar types of crimes, I think we should shoot them with progressively larger and larger calibers so that they build up an immunity.
Yeah, it's like an inoculation thing. Just give them a shot, so to speak.
I want them to feel my pain. Get them some lead poisoning.
So if they successfully argued that the shooting of this criminal, it counts as punishment because it's a deterrence.
That is one way to look at it, although I feel like the Crown may have a slightly different perspective.
So if this is true and that the courts recognize that, the shooting of criminals is a deterrence to crime,
I'd say
should
they just
we not, in the sake of trying to deter more crime, arm our populace?
Shoot more criminals?
I wouldn't say arm our populace, but allow our populace to be armed. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yes, that is definitely the better way of wording
it's almost like the Duterte model of governance.
Shoot the drug dealers?
Well, yeah,
send the garbage back to the country it came from.
Shooting the criminals is kind of a good start, right?
I've just always been a fan of their house is your castle. Get out of my castle or I'll shoot you on sight. Shoot you again if you move.
On site, maybe.
Okay,
I'm bit much.
Yes, if you are in my house, okay. There's one thing for you being on my lawn. I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
If you're in my house in the middle of the night.
In the house, yes.
Yeah, you're in my house, especially if I had kids or a wife, thing like that.
Yes,
and it's not
in the house.
You deserve to get the entire magazine dropped into you.
And as a reminder, this guy was getting stabbed in the head when he shot the criminal. So I mean,
I forgot about that little tidbit.
Seriously?
Yeah. No, this was the guy that
stabbed in the head guy. I don't think this was.
Wasn't this the stab in the head guy where he woke up to the feeling of being stabbed in the head by the knife and then he ended up shooting him?
I'm relatively certain that was another case that we did in.
All right, hang on.
In the reading
not in the article, but the photo description, which is just the photo of the courthouse address, which says, the courthouse in Catharines, Ontario, where the bail hearing of whatever is taking place. He is facing charges of first-degree murder as well as attempted murder for allegedly killing his 7-year-old stepson and stabbing an RBC Bank employee. He was found and arrested in Kenora, Ontario, following a tip from a member of the public.
I don't mean to burst your bubble, but look at the date on the photograph and the unrelated caption versus the date of the article. It's a stock photo from 2017 from a different case.
Oh, okay.
It's a good try.
None.
I'm like, this is not mentioned in the article at all, but apparently this guy
because it's a completely different
6
story.
years for murder and attempted murder. Oh, what have we come to?
It's a good try, though. It's a good try.
But still.
Trying to make sense of our media, that's all.
They also said he saved the justice system precious resources.
By pleading guilty.
By pleading guilty, another mitigating factor.
You know what else would You know what else would save money in the justice system?
Don't say it, Ian.
Okay.
Say whatever you like.
I'm just saying.
Save the world.
I'm just saying maybe target practice for the actual homeowner or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say my 9-cent or my 10-cent bullet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
10 cents
so for the actual.
That's an impressive reloading cost.
Yeah, maybe he reloads with his cast bullets or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
mine are free. Actually,
we gotta talk about where you're getting your components.
I win my projectiles. I don't have to pay for them. I win them at matches.
The problem is you never get what you want on the winning ones.
Yeah. They're X metal. I'm giving them a try.
Don't pistol or
Pistol.
do they do rifles? Yeah.
Pistol.
Do not use tight group with those X metals. It does not go well.
It's just too hot or what?
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like you're shooting a black powder.
Yeah, I'm using Winchester 231, and it I only loaded. Thankfully, I only loaded 50 because it's hurting my hand like how hot they are. Like double the kick.
Well, like I use tight group with my Cam Pros, and it's just tickety boo. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Same. I use tight group with Cam Pros right now. It's fine. I've been using tight group with the Frontiers. That was no issue. I tried using it with some X metals, and it was hilarious. Like, I mean, you couldn't. I went to like do like a bill drill, and like at shot 3, you couldn't see the target anymore. It's just gone.
Marty, was that the polymer coated ones? Because I know they react differently than the than your regular jacketed stuff.
Oh yeah, so X metals are it's the high tech coating. It's like some sort of a coating that's on them. I've talked. Like I spoke to one of their like sponsored shooters, and before even saying anything, he was like, "Oh yeah, whatever you do not use these with tight group though." Oh, really? And I was like, "Oh yeah, I made that mistake." And so yeah, you have to be careful with the powder you use with them. But other than that, they're a lot of guys use them and they work great. You just have to be careful what powder you use.
For sure. I think we got a little off topic.
It's okay. Reloading autism is good. It's better than that time we spent 30 minutes talking about pants.
Was that just 30 minutes?
I don't know. Time goes slower when I engage the autism.
Did I miss this episode?
It was very early. Gavin and I spent a lot of time talking about pants. We're not going to rehash it. Go back, listen to the back catalog. Let's instead talk about something else. A change in reserve force pay structure. This is on the Government of Canada website, canada.ca. This is new from June, middle of June, so it's about a month old. The dishonorable Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan has announced changes to the pay system. Previously, reservists were paid 85% of their regular force counterparts, and now that's going to be brought up with a fudge factor, effectively. So they're still paid less, but there's a military factor that goes into basically how much hardship they're enduring with what their role is. In general, for everybody in podcast land that's not familiar with the process, reservists are part-time citizen soldiers in Canada as opposed to the regular force, who are full-time professional soldiers. The reserve force are generally expected to parade one night a week, one weekend a month. They have the option in participating in things that the Reg Force does, including domestic and international operations, but they have to do it basically on a as agreed upon schedule. Whereas the Reg Force, if you're signed into the Reg Force, you effectively become government property, and the government tells you when to go and how to get there and when you'll be there and all of that good stuff, and they run your life for the duration of your contract. So if they tell you you're moving to the other side of the country tomorrow, you're moving to the other side of the country tomorrow. The Reserve Force doesn't have this. You generally serve in the community in which you live, and you can't be posted elsewhere, and you have to volunteer to go places. So they are paid less as a result of this. The downside is that there are not as many reservists filling roles that are needed to fill shortcomings in the regular force, so they're bringing the pay systems more in line to encourage more, call it participation, I think.
Incentives.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, like, I've never been in the reserves or the regular forces myself, but I mean, when I lived in Southern Ontario, I dealt with a lot of people that were. It seems to me that they were filling a lot of gaps, like especially in Afghanistan. Like, a lot of these people that were going over were reservists. So, I mean, yeah, if they do go over there and help them out when they're shorthanded, otherwise they should get paid closer to the same, if not the same, when they're going over there, at least. Just my thought. Anyway.
I'd say I'm torn both ways on this one. So for one, I mean, it's similar to something that the Wynne government put in Ontario, where like if you have a part-time worker doing this, like for their part-time hours, you have to pay them the same rate as you pay a full-time employee doing the same job. And it's like, that's if you're a business owner, your full-time employee doing that job is a lot more valuable to you than the part-time worker. that's just filling in for some extra hours kind of thing, or a seasonal worker type of thing. And you want to be able to reward your person that's committed to you full time at a higher rate than you do a seasonal or part-time worker.
By the same token, I think it's quite feasible to have a reservist that's in there longer than a guy that signs on the dotted line for, like, say, 3 to 7 years. Reservist might be in there for 20. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, it could be a completely different thing. And again,
but the level of commitment is different, as Andrew mentioned, in terms of
that's true.
Reservist has a lot more choice and decision as to whether or not they want to go along with the job or not, compared to a full timer. So that's just kind of like the one half of it. Now, the other half of me that I sees this, it goes, okay, then if this is a free market reaction, if they're trying to incentivize more people to.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Marty, but I really hope you're going to tell me that I can stand up my own militia and start PMCs.
That'd be fantastic.
I mean, that's not where I was going, but let's go there now.
You already know a few qualified people right on this panel.
Because I mean, like, if you're saying the free market will provide, I know some people.
Let's provide.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean,
carry on with
ultimately,
your thought.
I mean, your idea is probably a less expensive and higher performing output of it, but I mean, my in terms of if this is just purely a we are low on reservists, and so by increasing the pay of reservists, we will get the numbers back to where we need it. Then I get that as well. Like, so I don't know. I'm kind of I go either way on this one. It's sort of, I see both good and bad to this.
I don't see that they're using it as a recruiting tool, and maybe I misunderstand, but having read statements from the dishonorable Minister of National Defense, the command of military personnel, and the chief of the reserves, I don't get that they're
like, if I was a full-time military employee, I'd be pretty upset about this.
If you look at the pay, it's like it's inflation basically. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to work out to an 8% increase for reservists, and I mean, I guess the other thing to bear in mind with this is that reservists, depending on the type of reservists that they are, without getting autistic about pay scales and stuff, because I was a clerk, that was my thing. I dealt with this stuff. So without bringing out the clerk autism, you're in general, your reservists are paid per day. So you either get a half day or a full day's pay based on the number of hours you work. It's not paid hourly. Reg Force, typically you get monthly pay, and again, it's not based on the number of days or hours that you work. So I mean, like, this is all when you figure that when you're, say, deployed to Afghanistan, you're never not on the clock. Like, you're always expected to be working.
Yeah.
Right. So you, like, when you work out the hourly rate, you are paid exceptionally poorly in our military, like, regardless of reservists or Reg Force or what have you, because, like, oh, it's 2 a.m. and you were sleeping. Well, sorry, guy in Afghanistan, you're getting mortared today, because that's what they felt like doing. Like, you can't tell them that you're not on the clock right now. Mortar us later.
To be clear though, they're not giving a raise to Reg Forces. This is just a reserve thing.
Not in this release, although the Reg Force did recently also receive a change in their pay scales, which we covered when that came out earlier in the year.
Right, but that change in pay scale also affected the reserves.
It did. That affected everybody.
Because the reserves was previously calculated as percentage, 85% of the Reg Forces. So when the Reg Forces got a raise, the reservists got a proportional raise as well. Now this is an additional raise for just the reserves.
So you could say that, yeah. So this is an incentive. It's not just cost of living then.
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, people that are doing the reserve thing are generally not going to be the type of reservist where you're getting that daily pay rate. If you're doing something for the Reg Force, like deploying on an operation in Croatia, which is a thing that's currently going on, you're a type of reservist who gets paid on the regular force pay scale. So this is only for those reservists that are still being paid on that daily rate, who are generally, you're talking about somebody who's on some sort of a short-term commitment, taking a course, doing some sort of domestic operation like filling sandbags for floods in Ottawa, posing for photo ops with the Prime Minister. I believe you get danger pay for that one. Yes, they're getting an increase. Are they getting? I don't think it's a big increase, and honestly, I'm happy to see them getting this, because our government, this current government and our government for the last 20 years has treated our military exceptionally poorly, in my opinion. So, like, literally anything to improve the individual soldier is good in my book. This is like the one legitimate thing I can get behind with government. If you're going to enforce our national borders using military force, I'm okay with you doing it in a meaningful and effective way.
Right, and like I get that, but let's say in your job, if you are a salaried employee and you're there, every day, every day of the week, whenever on call, all kind of stuff like that, and there's a temp worker that's there one day a month, and he's getting paid the same as you.
I mean, but he's getting paid for that one day that he worked, whereas I'm getting paid for every day that I worked. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's getting paid the same as you.
Is he doing the same job?
Yeah. That's yes, but still, like I'm just saying, like there's.
I mean, I see the dichotomy that you're drawing between the two, but I mean, I'm not upset about this. I don't know. We should find some
I'm not upset about it either.
Their opinion.
Marty's just coming at it from a super logical standpoint. I feel
he does that.
I'm just like like I said, I'm mixed on this. I really I don't know where to come down on this one. I can see both positives and negatives to this. I can see being upset if I was in some ways, but not others. I don't know where to fall on this one.
Yeah. I mean, we'd have to almost just ask the opinion of a Reg Force guy, see what they think.
Yeah.
But like Andrew says, I'm not opposed to encouraging some participation in reserve forces. I think it's a really good way to give back to the community, like you said, because usually they are working through the communities. And
I would probably better agree with Andrew's earlier statement and encourage the people getting more involved in militias than reserves. But hey,
I mean, I don't know how we go about forming a private military contracting company, but I'm willing to put in some work and figure it out.
Well, instead of calling it Blackwater, just call it Coldwater or something.
I believe we call it Ragnarok Tactical.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I think we already have one named.
Yeah.
It would just be a different branch.
Yeah. That'd be the Overseas Operations Division.
Or we can call it...
Or domestic. Just say.
I've always been partial to the Office of Special Services.
I vote myself VP of Office of Special Services.
All right, then.
I'll be your logistics officer if you need.
Okay.
Super. We are very quickly going to get arrested by the government. This is good. I like where this is going. Let's
I mean, they've been listening all this time. It's about time we gave them something spicy.
Give them exactly what they want. They got them eating out of our hands.
Tune in next week for Parade Night on CPP.
Andrew, did you get that tank?
Man, I wish I had a tank. Like, I mean, I legitimately really wish I had a tank. I'd settle for an armored car.
I heard they have some to give away in Nova Scotia, or was it New Brunswick? Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally take that little. That was like a Daimler Ferret or something, right?
It was an old Lav.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a Coyote.
Yeah.
I just feel like that'd be really expensive to drive.
I don't have that kind. That's
I don't
not
have that.
the.
I don't have that kind of gas money.
I can steal diesel from work. We're good.
Look at that. He's already thinking like a contractor. He's solving problems in an unconventional way.
Right?
I can get some fertilizer, Dave. We should talk.
The views and opinions expressed by the panelists are those of the panelists and don't necessarily reflect the views of management and ownership of Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Or Ragnarok Tactical.
No,
or the rest
not.
of the guests.
Where's Jewel when we need her? We need to get the Slamfire intro. Don't try this at your house. Go to our friends instead.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right, let's talk about a thing that's not your friend's house. This is Trudeau says he thinks Liberals will pick up seats in Alberta. Apparently, he got his government pot delivery.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
My favorite part of this article was that 2 days ago there were only 100 days left until the election, and that was how the article started. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's super close." So now we're down to double digits until we get an election, guys.
Oh baby.
Soon.
At least he got his cowboy hat on the right way.
It's a step forward. I'll give him that.
But
Who's the Green Party leader?
I'm trying to think of a cowboy
May.
that'd be caught dead in that shirt otherwise, but hey.
Nah, I mean, he practically looks like the cast of Brokeback Mountain up in there.
Yeah,
Party
definitely.
leader.
These like this photo, those two guys are fresh off the mountain of broken backs.
I can't quit you.
Why do you know?
But yeah,
that?
Elizabeth May, you were asking about who the leader of the Green Party was?
Yeah, there was I believe it was her. There's a photo of her with like at the Stampede, and she's got the cowboy hat on backwards, like the wide ends in the front.
Jesus.
Because she's only
City
slightly less
slickers.
cowboy than Trudeau, but
Like, surprised there's not like glass walls around him when he's walking through Alberta right now because they hate his fucking guts.
yeah, I got a pretty strong sentiment when I was out in Drumheller there that I don't think he's going to win too many seats.
Well, I think a big part of this is how they screwed the middle of the country over with the Trans Mountain Pipeline.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big blow to them come election time. I think Alberta is going to remember that they are not getting oil money right now.
They're crippling this whole economy because of it. You know what I mean?
See,
It's not
well,
just
I think it
Alberta.
has nothing to do with the fact that he forgot about the whole province.
Well, I mean, that just makes for a funny soundbite.
I mean,
Yeah.
what are we taking bets for the over under of like, did they get one seat or none?
I'm sure that they will get seats. I don't think they're going to maintain their current number of seats.
It'd be urban seats only. And I mean, if you look at the way the provinces have gone, I mean, it's pretty clear how people are feeling.
You
And honestly, I mean, like the fact that he forgot Alberta, I don't think that will even register on any voters' minds. Like, it's
No, Andrew was right.
one of
It's
those
just a
things
soundbite.
where people can, yeah, it's a soundbite, it's funny, and it's something to joke about. But like everybody understands that can happen.
I think that in the article they mentioned the anti-pipeline candidate. I mean, that pretty much says it all. Where Trudeau put his loyalty or priorities, right? So they nominated Stephen Guilbeault, I guess his name is, and basically he's been gone out of his way saying he's going to like try and block all the pipelines as best he can. He was kind of him and Han about being, maybe he could compromise or anything else, but that if they get reelected, they'll do their best to keep Alberta in the gutter.
Yeah. And eventually this whole country in the gutter because we need that oil.
Yeah, I mean, basically Alberta feeds Quebec, which I don't understand why they can't get that, but anyway.
Because he understands economics. Budgets balance themselves.
Deficits. Oh, I think I have a drop of that. Do I have deficits are how you measure the economy?
I thought
If you
deficits
don't, I do.
were a way of measuring success. I do believe is what the way he worded it.
No. I got this one.
Here,
And the budget will balance itself.
I have the deficits one here.
Deficits are a way of measuring the kind of growth and the kind of success that a government is actually able to create.
There you go.
That's not a thing.
He's clearly high.
How right you are, Justin.
Yeah.
Hate him so much.
So currently they have 3 seats in the province at the federal level. I don't see them significantly growing that. I would be surprised if they still have less than 3. Like it's like 2 in Edmonton and 1 in Calgary, or vice versa, something to that effect.
Well, Edmonton's
So-
out of the circle of trust right now. I mean, they were the only one voting for Notley's crew in the last election
Like-
too. So
How could they?
At this
possibly-
point, I feel like I should be surprised if they have party status after this election, and yet it's going to be close.
Yeah.
well, it's gonna be close according to the CBC, and of course they're heavily bribed to, slant their articles.
Ian, I will wager that if you looked at the just purely the numbers, I bet you 40% of our population are still going to vote for Liberals. 40% of the
40%
voting
of the-
population.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
What you've
40%
got,
of the people who vote.
yeah, but
who
you've
get
got
to vote.
You've got people that are like
Oops.
entrenched in certain parties that will never vote any other way their entire life, right? So you've got like say 20% of the voters.
I'm just saying it is insane to me after. I mean, it
Everything
was
that's
insane
happened.
to me that people would vote for him to begin with, let alone after seeing the results of this ideology that people, there's 40%, like half of our population pretty well, are going to vote for this asshole again.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him with a minority government and be in a coalition with the Greens or the NDP, which would be devastating to the country. But I can see that as a realistic alternative as far as he won't have a majority. I can't see him having a majority, but I can't see him having a coalition government.
But the fact that after what we've seen by the past 4 years, that this is even a topic of conversation, that he might even have a minority government, that he, you know, like,
yep.
The fact that he is not being run out of this country is insane to me.
Well, that's because most people just buy the drivel they're being fed. That's all. I mean, the vast majority of my coworkers sit all day like this. They're just like, they just whatever the TV screen is propped up in front of them from, you know, Facebook and the, you know, all the other sources, CBC. They just believe what they're told. They don't question anything.
I'm not a big fan. The fact that you say your coworkers are not paying attention to their job.
Oh no, it's not just my coworkers. It's everywhere I go. It's like, you'd be shocked.
No. I agree with everybody else. I'm not happy that your coworkers are not paying attention.
No, my immediate coworkers that would say within the 4 foot range of where I work, they're all on board, and the vast majority.
Okay, we're good.
And the vast majority of those guys listen to both podcasts. But
all right,
and we're sorry for that.
But I'll tell you, if you go 6 feet back, you're gonna find everybody voting for Trudeau and Cruz.
Yeah, that I believe.
Yeah. So, anyway. Neither here nor there.
I just want to say that you're both very uneducated.
Yes, clearly by the next article, right?
Right. I moved it up in the stack because the segue was good. This is on the Toronto Sun. Prof gets a fail for party of the uneducated tweet. So some Yahoo from the University of Ottawa. This is a professor at the University of Ottawa. I can't believe. I'm so glad that we had the long march through the institutions. I really hope that we have like the long march to the gulag for some of these people, starting with professors at U of O.
And this is march over to U of T.
Well, yeah. Well, this is so I've got the tweet, the tweet of the twit. I don't know. Conservatives.
It's a twat.
Is it?
No.
Conservatives have a strong lead among those who have not attended college or university, while liberals have a lead among those with a university education. The party of the uneducated. Every poll says this. And okay.
You know,
you can present that information, and that's fine. I don't have the problem with that. The problem is when he got called out for his superiority complex that he has, and then he starts equating the lack of education to your average conservative voter to the policies of the Conservative Party. And that's the part where it's like, yes, this is the part where you're being an elitist prick, and you probably shouldn't be educating children.
Yeah, he's such a punchable face.
First off, there's a couple of things for this. I feel like he's equating education with intelligence, and those are two different things.
Well, you know, are you sure? Are you a university professor?
I am not a professor, no. But I will, like, some of the most intelligent, some of the most, like, smartest individuals I've met have not attended university.
Yeah.
Now, some of the smartest guys that I have met have as well, but I'm just saying, like, you can't equate intelligence with education. There's two different things.
100%.
Now, again, if you break this out, if you look at when they break this out in terms of degrees that have, if you look at like technical degrees, you know, engineers, computer science, doctors, those kind of things, they vote conservative.
Weird. People with STEM backgrounds that understand mathematics and political sciences and logic, those things.
So who are we talking about here? We're talking about the bulk of our current college university degrees, which are, you know, the English, you know, the arts, that kind of thing.
How to work.
And it's like, yeah, they're voting liberals. Is that who we're propping up as this is the people we should be following? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, And I'm not arguing with him in the data, because the data that he does present does support his point of view, which is fine. Again, I don't care that people without university educations are more likely to vote conservative. I just don't like that he equates the government's policy to the education level of the people that vote for it. It's another false dichotomy. It's the same as the whole intelligence versus education bit.
It's just
also, I mean, like, if you look at his example, bucket beer, he's like, this numbskull policy, like bucket beer. It's like, it's like, how is that a numbskull policy? He's removing a government tax essentially on a product that shouldn't have that additional tax being applied. Like, the government was applying a minimum price point on a product. Why is the government applying a minimum price point on a product?
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
so, why is the government involved in private sectors? We need to get our private military contracting company to uninvolve the government in bucket beer.
Yeah.
No,
Fiscally remove
it's just extremely dense of somebody who is apparently woke and enlightened to say such
No,
a
well
ridiculous
educated.
thing. Yeah, well educated, yes. Or such a ridiculous thing. Yeah.
I will gladly donate 9 cents per David Isley rounds towards removing the government from bucket beer.
Excellent.
It's so funny that he brought up that policy up, because quite honestly, I don't like. Obviously, I don't run in the same circles as you guys, but everyone I spoke to who voted conservative in the past provincial election didn't do so to get cheaper beer. They did it to get rid of the liberal government that was driving our province into the ground. So.
No, but he's trying to promote the stereotype that is just a bunch of inbred hillbillies that need their bucket beer. That's what he's trying to. He's just alluding to that. He's saying he got
that sort of rhetoric. I resemble that remark.
Yeah, but he's got the highbrow people with interpretive dance degrees versus the
what sort of brow?
The highbrow. Yeah, the unibrow, maybe. I don't know, judging by the picture.
No, they probably wax. They go on stage, they wax.
Yeah, he's got some brows, but anyway, again, he's just trying to pigeonhole everybody. Like, again, I would rather spend a day with the guy that's got a 2-year engineering or power engineering diploma than a person with an English literary or English art history degree. I mean, let's face it, there's going to be similar mindsets with certain groups of educational people, right? I mean, I don't have a degree, but I've still got post-secondary, and I still managed to survive without Darwining myself off. But anyway, I make fairly good money too, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the education versus intelligence that Marty brought up, and I really think that this is the success that the left has had with the long march through the institution to get people like this into positions of we'll use the air quotes authority to indoctrinate future generations into believing that everyone that doesn't have a piece of paper that says U of O on it is somehow inferior to them.
Put it this way, very few farmers go to university. And, show me a farmer that can't figure something out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, farmers are generally among the smartest people that I've met because they can solve every problem. If you found somebody that was a lawyer, an accountant, a mechanic, a veterinarian, and all of the other things that they do, all of the other skills that they possess, I mean, like, that's an incredibly well-rounded professional, which I would argue that your average university professor is not.
Not sure they can run out the cost of something in a heartbeat just in their head, without having to sit there and do government studies on it.
Well, I don't know. Are you even allowed to do things without government studies?
I think so. Outside of the university grounds, yes.
All right, let's go on to another one. More government waste, fraud, and abuse. But hey, it's okay. We have socialized medicine, so we'll all be just fine. It's on the National Post.
My roads are built.
Your roads are crumbling and your bridges are about to fall apart, but it's okay.
My roads are dirt, not paved still. But I mean, hey,
that's specifically your road. Which I also feel like in your neighborhood is a selling feature. Yeah, we haven't got that government asphalt yet.
Yeah, it's kind of is really.
You tell those city slickers with their fancy paved roads to stay the hell out of here. Toronto hospital fires around 150 employees after uncovering multi-million-dollar fraud.
Yeah, and apparently I was talking to a nurse friend of mine, and she was saying that they were like that she knows people that work here, and they're always complaining they don't have enough people. So losing 150 employees is gonna it's a large number, but it's a small fraction of what they actually employ. But it's gonna hurt.
I don't think it's even that small of a fraction. Doesn't this particular? So this is Baycrest in Toronto. Doesn't this particular hospital employ only like 1,800 people?
Yeah, no, it's
about right.
15%.
So they knocked off nearly 10% of their employees. I don't know what that is. 150 out of 1,800. If I was farmer, I could tell you the math, but I want to say it's 8%.
It's like 8.5%.
112, which would be exactly 8.75%.
Thank you.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So Benny, I agree with you. This is going to impact those that left behind in the short term. Like, it's going to be tough for the people that are left, because they're going to have to cover this. Like, it's going to take them a while to hire back 150 employees.
The good news is no physicians were fired. So while they go out of their way to say that this was not specific to any one skill or trade within the hospital, they do go out of their way to say that it wasn't any of the physicians. This is also the second time in a year that a Toronto hospital has done this because they've caught their employees defrauding them.
Seems to be a Toronto problem rather.
Yeah, it's also happened at the Toronto Transit Commission in the last year or so.
I feel like
almost like shitty people move to shitty cities.
I mean,
like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm sorry.
Yeah, birds of a feather stick together.
No, I feel like this is a false dichotomy, the same way as like education versus intelligence. I wouldn't say that shitty people necessarily move to cities, but for some reason, the greater the population density is, the higher rate of recidivism amongst the idiots that there is. What is over the camera? Why is there a fly on my camera? This makes for terrible podcasting. Get out of here.
It's an audio, so.
Yeah, I don't think you understand how a podcast works, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, this I don't know, the city. It's just like kind of like gangs in New York kind of thing. It just like breeds cheating. Everything.
So let's talk quickly about how this scam worked.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do our diligence as the media.
Always entertains me that we're the media. We shouldn't be the media.
So essentially, my understanding, at least, of how the scam worked was they would. So if I was an employee of this hospital, I would expense medical treatments that I did not receive. So I would say, physio or chiropractor or whatever kind of stuff. I would go to this chiropractor. They would hand me a receipt for services that I did not receive. I would expense that, and when I'd get the cash back, I'd give them a share of the cash that came back.
It's just you're cooking the books. It's just like it happens all the time. They do audits on us at the dealership level. You can't say that you replaced parts that you didn't actually replace, and then claim that you replaced them. Right? It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Is that everyone's understanding of what happened here?
Yeah, so very simply, they were defrauding their benefit system by claiming benefits that they did not
services not rendered.
Receive. Yeah.
No.
But this is a problem that's not unique to this hospital. People defraud their benefits plans frequently, and it is not unique to Toronto's or their hospitals.
So I just want to point out also that this hospital, as much as it is called a hospital, and my wife calls it that also, but it's more of an old age home.
Okay, it's like the
target
kind of thing.
Yeah, the target demographic is like seniors, rather than some kid who broke his arm. So the ability for the patient to speak up for themselves is dramatically less than that of a regular hospital.
Now,
old people are always taking
maybe I'm mistaken here from when I read it, but I don't believe that the issue was with the patient care. It was more of a benefits claim.
Right, but if if say Marty, you went to the hospital for a procedure, God forbid you ever need one, you'd probably see what was claimed on your insurance or what was claimed on OHIP or whatever that. You would receive some kind of
you usually get a statement saying
in reply.
These have been covered.
Right. So you would probably review that and notice any discrepancies in that, whereas a senior patient may not notice or may not review it at all.
I guess I just did not see that being mentioned as in the article. So
yeah, no, my understanding was this was well, Baycrest is they do have a live-in patient thing for the elderly. My understanding was this was employees abusing their benefits plan, not abusing patients or the care the patients were receiving.
Kind of like what was happening with Honda down in Alliston there back in about 2003. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
No.
Nope.
Same kind of thing, I guess.
That's where a couple hundred Honda employees got fired because they were using therapeutic massages at rub and tugs.
Well, I mean, as long as you get a receipt, it counts, right?
Well, that's what they were doing. They actually convinced some rub and tug to come up with like one person on staff was a certified massage therapist and managed to sign off all their claims, and it worked out great for a while. And until wives found out.
Until the wrong person found out, and the whole thing came down.
Well, the good news is the wives of Honda employees are more diligent than the benefit administrators at a large Toronto hospital.
Does it say in the article how long this went on for?
Yes, it does. It's $5 million over 8 years. They've discovered that have been abused because the benefits in this case are administered by a third party. I forget who it is. It's like Hirsch and Hirsch or something.
Mm-hmm.
Coolin and Associates. I was close. I was not close. Coolin and Associates is the benefits administrator. Their administrative staff did not notice this for a number of years. No one has been charged. However, anyone who did not voluntarily resign has been fired. So,
I mean, at least
defrauding the hospital apparently bad. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, this is not that. I wouldn't say that it's uncommon for people to abuse their benefits accounts.
I mean, a little bit of white lies, fudging the numbers here and there to like get an extra pair of glasses or something. I don't feel is kind of what was going on here.
Right.
No, I mean there was one employee that the investigation found had received more than $100,000 in benefits.
I can't even think of what I would have to claim to claim that much money in benefits. It's insane.
All of the benefits.
Yeah, you must have like 500 broken bones.
So many knee
expensive.
Yeah.
It's a lot of rub and tugs too.
Is it? Is that
I don't know.
Experience? I don't know what the going rate for a rub
Or
and tug
just
is.
very high-end rub and tugs.
just one real good one.
That's right. You want extra?
You didn't even know she could do those things.
I only remember that one so well because one of my neighbors worked for Honda at the time. I was like, tell me you're not caught up in that. He goes, no. They asked me if I wanted to get on it. And he's like, no, I didn't. So he got away scot-free because he didn't do anything bad. But I heard all about it. So.
I don't even like sharing a lunchroom with the people I work with. There is no way that's sanitary. It only occurs to me that the Honda people were all just going to the same rub and tug.
Yeah, 200. 200. Jesus.
Wow.
It's almost like a lineup at that point.
Yeah. I got the
11:45.
We're open 5 days a week.
I mean,
8 hours. That means there's like at least one of them in there.
Yeah.
Swapping at any given time.
Just a high five as they walk by each other.
Yeah.
I mean, Ford invented the assembly line, but I mean, the Japanese perfected it, I guess.
Oh wow! All right, let's talk gun news. This isn't good news, gun news this week, but something other than fraud and hand jobs.
Well, that's just boring. Then. Come on.
I think you have a show title right there.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody tell the intern to put that in the show notes. That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's not going to be a good transition, but let's go on to the next thing.
Moving on.
In the Calgary Sun, gopher shoot leads to heavily armed RCMP takedown at family Strathmore farm. David DeWolf, who is a piano teacher in real life, also plays a guy getting arrested by the Mounties on TV. So his brother and some of their friends were over at their rural property. They were shooting groundhogs, or I guess gophers. They were shooting gophers. And after they had finished shooting, he was bathing his children with his wife, and the RCMP called him, asking him to come outside, where he found a number of heavily armed RCMP officers pointing firearms at him because they received a complaint that he was shooting at neighboring properties. So, great job on the response time, guys. Really looking out for the community there by... Everyone had already left, the guns were gone, the shooting had stopped, and he is now half-dressed, bathing his children. So, remember, the police are only minutes away when seconds count.
Well, even then, he got 2 phone calls. The first one was a pretty, I guess, aggressive one, saying to get the F out of the house and so on and so on. I guess they must have hung up on him. They must have told the goon to hang up, and they got the professional guy on there. And he came back and said, listen, just so you know, this is what's going on. There's going to be some officers outside. Maybe you should walk outside with your hands up. And they gave him the moderated version. And yeah, by that point, they searched his entire house and found nothing because his friends had already left, which is amazing.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah.
The guns weren't even there.
No, this is the change in scenery in Alberta. Basically, like when I grew up, I got paid 25 cents a tail to shoot gophers. And we would like take everything from hoses down the holes, like you pour water down there when they come up, it's like whack-a-mole with a pellet gun. And it was a common thing. Everybody did it. Now you got the people that want to have like urban lots in the country, and heaven forbid somebody next door is shooting at gophers, which there are millions of. And all of a sudden now this is RCMP SWAT worthy. I just don't get it.
Say this outside rural Calgary, like it's a
rural Calgary.
Town, this is 14,000 pop town. Like this should be like, a typical Sunday afternoon. We're getting the gophers out of the field because we want to make sure the cows are okay. Like I just don't understand what the hell is going through the RCMP's mind. Like,
well, yeah,
the amount of kind of know what's.
Yeah, the amount of livestock lost every year to gopher holes, like Richardson ground squirrel holes, is immense. Like because a horse breaks their leg, that's it. Same thing with a cow.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if somebody comes up with a false claim that the people are shooting at their house and it's found out to be totally false, that person should be charged.
Yeah.
Quite simply.
Instead, in this case, the piano teacher was charged, held, later released. His wife was released almost immediately without charges to return to look after their children. One of his friends was released later, and he and his friend were both charged with hunting in a dangerous manner. And I believe his brother was also charged with it's a peace violation. Where is it in the article? It's gone now.
Yeah, it's charged with hunting in a dangerous manner.
No, there was one more for the brother, if I'm not mistaken, for like an obstruction. Yeah, obstruction.
Obstruction charge. Yeah.
So I mean,
I have a question.
Yep.
How did the RCMP have his cell phone number?
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Well, it was a town of 1,400. He probably knew both of the cops.
Or the neighbor had it.
Strathmore is
just.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know that to me is.
I do find that surprising that they have the cell phone number. I could see a landline number that should be relatively easy to figure out.
Yeah.
But again, small town, rural Alberta, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody didn't know somebody and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's David, the piano teacher. We know him."
Well, Strathmore is actually
I would
pretty much
like
part of Calgary.
Public, because if there's some sort of government, like tinfoil hat goes on to say that, like, why does the government able to identify who at this residence has what cell phone number.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Rogers or whoever will probably happily provide the RCMP with anybody's cell number at that address if they want. But Strathmore, you got to remember, guys, is actually part of Calgary. It's based on eastern Calgary. It's almost like been swallowed by the town now. But still, as long as they're not within 100 yards of a dwelling house, just like BC or anything else, and you're not shooting towards them, they can't really say much. But the thing is, people don't like the noise, so they make up shit as they go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what the rule is in Ontario as far as, like, if you're shooting on Crown land, but as long as you're not within...
My buddy shoots clays in the back of his backyard. It pisses off his neighbors, but cops just come and say, hey, can you keep it down? But nothing happens.
Yeah, so like hunting in a dangerous manner, you have to be able to prove they're discharging a firearm within a certain distance of a house and or shooting towards them. And so if they're shooting,
I can shoot on my property without an issue.
Yeah, so unless they're shooting at the house, I don't understand where this is coming from.
And a simple conversation just needs to take place. Be like, look, this guy called. The guy answered the door, I assume not with his firearm in his hand. He was washing his kids. So, hey, can you come outside? We just need to talk. There's been a complaint. Let me hear your side of the story. And, it's solved, in my opinion. But
yeah, I know the way it's described is completely over the top. Yeah, that it was not appropriate. Appropriate or however you want to say it.
Force was not necessary, I believe. Yeah. Another tick in the RCMP. You're a bunch of idiots, Colin.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that this was not an appropriate use of police resources. And I'm gonna go with whoever's swatting gun owners should probably be being charged.
Yep. Not a good story.
Well, let's do a good story to round things out. This is from Drumheller Online.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently they don't have an actual newspaper, but they have the internet. Big shooting event in Drumheller this past weekend. This is a week old. This is, of course, talking about the 9th annual Canadian Podcaster Charity Shoot. So
I assume you guys talked about this last week.
We did. I don't think that I am not aware of in the last 3 years that we've been involved in the Canadian Podcast Charity Shoot that there's been any media coverage. And I'm going to go ahead and call the drumhelleronline.com media coverage.
So you can tell they didn't get some of the 600 million because they're willing to report actual news.
Yeah, there was an event with 200 people, and a bunch of money was raised for the Big Country Anti-Violence Association and the Drumheller and District Humane Society.
How much money did they end up raising? I didn't hear the figure.
I don't know what the final tally is.
It's ongoing, so they actually got up to 8,800. Nice. He was actually aiming for 10,000, but one of his customers said, "Oh, you needed 10,000." Pulled out 12 $100 bills, said, "Now you got 10,000." And then, but the funny thing is, then they had one guy turn around and he'd bought something at the silent auction or the auction, I guess, resold it for a huge profit, donated that, so then they're over 10,000. But they've still got about 4 or 5 items on Facebook, like live auction sites, including a Gersan pistol right now. And they're still raising money as we speak, so it's probably gonna be around 13,000, 14,000 by the time it's all said and done.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean, and they were aiming for 10, so they're thrilled, right? So I was actually talking to Jason today because they'd actually given away parts of the auction lots, so they're just kind of rejigging things right now. But there's still a Gersan pistol on there with a couple of gift certificates and everything else on for like $250. So
now I haven't listened to last week's episode when you guys discussed this, but Ian, I can only assume I'm to congratulate you on winning the Thunderdome.
Well,
and I'm assuming, are you now the head of CCFR? Is that how that works when you win the Thunderdome?
Well, the worst part is actually I have a picture of Rod and I hanging out together type of thing, holding our red Solo cups and everything else. And I should have actually gone from there down to a headlock or something right then and taken it down. Might have been a little awkward because he didn't know about it. But then, of course, so Gavin and I were chatting afterwards because Rod basically did his speech and left. And we totally realized we had forgotten to bring up the whole Thunderdome thing. And we're like, oh, next year, I guess. We had some babies involved, so we kind of got distracted.
Right. I'll give you a pass on this year then.
Yeah, but it was a fun time overall, and I got to say Rod did a really good speech and everything else. And Took time to talk to absolutely everybody that wanted to talk to him, and like I said, hey, we came off relatively friendly terms. I don't know if you can see that or not, but hey, it was all good.
Want to see blood in that picture next year?
Next year,
I
it'll happen. So, but for now, I'm still the Western Canada guy.
Excellent.
All right, let's move into rapid fire feedback. We've got an email from Jordan, whose name.
Wait, hang on a second. Is that it? Just the fact that there was an article about drones?
I mean, you can read the article. It's like 600 words. I mean,
okay,
600 words is maybe a generous estimate.
There's literally nothing you want to talk about. Just that the fact that there was
we've covered it. I'm just bringing up that there was an article. It made the news.
Awesome.
Yeah, the word count is under 400. So
good job, everybody in Drumheller and the West Coast. You guys did awesome.
Yeah, money.
You raised some money.
Drumheller.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire feedback. Email from Jordan. Good morning, CPP. I should probably do that in a Robin Williams voice. Good morning, CPP.
Probably not.
Or no. Yeah, because bad things would happen. Anyway, just a quick note. We have Panda Express here in Alberta, specifically in Calgary, and it's effing tasty. Orange chicken and Rangoons. That's with 4 M's. That's how you can tell it's good.
Okay.
Like, again, this is something I missed on a recent episode.
For some reason, we were talking about Panda Express recently. I don't remember the context.
So Panda Express is some sort of Chinese food?
Yeah, I think
it's California American deep fried food.
It's like Manchu Wok or anything else. It's just the same idea. It's just
we were talking about Mandarin's discount for Canadian citizens, and
okay.
Andrew was bemoaning his lack of Panda Express in Ontario.
It's true. Orange chicken is quite good. Totally not Chinese food, but very good nonetheless.
They even have a Panda Express in Mexico City. And I mean, the nice thing is about having a Panda Express in Mexico City is that they deep fry the stuff so heavily, there's no chance there's going to be any sort of stuff that's going to give you like Montezuma's revenge. So it's actually pretty safe eating. Just saying.
And like,
okay.
So orange chicken, but like Rangoons. So like people from Burma.
Not Rangoonites. That's
yes,
different.
But also no.
No, the Rangoon chicken I think is another dish they have.
Rangoon is a crab puff. It's like a crab wonton or a crab dumpling kind of a thing. It's a deep fry. I don't feel like when you deep fry it, I think it stops being a dumpling at that point. Cheese wonton is probably the thing that people would be more familiar with.
These wontons are delicious.
Again, I'm going to go ahead and say it's not actually Chinese food, but...
Oh, I need to interrupt for a sec. So, interesting enough, sorry guys, but interesting enough, we the media now type of thing, so the Drumheller newspaper would not cover the event without a $200 ad spend. Interesting enough, we just found out from Jay Philp, who was the organizer.
Oh. Well...
So,
bastards.
I mean, good, yay capitalism, but I guess
I'll take my $200 anytime, Jason.
Yeah, but again, at least they didn't follow the narrative from the $600 million payout people. So
also true.
Yeah, apparently in Drumheller it only costs $200, not $600 million. So I mean, really, bang for your buck there.
Yeah, totally.
I'll do it for 100. Keep that in mind for next year, guys.
99.
Easy now. All right. Does anybody have anything else? Closing comments, remarks, witty repartee? You like that? I learned repartee. It was in my word a day calendar. All right. Let's find out where everybody can stay in touch with you. Dave, do you have a social media that you want to share, or maybe plug your shooting stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at Diesel6223 on IG, and if you're interested at all in coming to shoot PR up at the base, hit me at oraprecision@gmail.com and come out and test your long range skills.
Cool. Ian, where can everybody find you?
Well, you can email me directly at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can also find me on Canadian Prepper Podcast, now on iTunes and Facebook, it turns out. We record the podcast live on YouTube. Just search under Canadian Prepper Podcast to find the channel.
Cool. Marty, where can people find the show? P.S. I'm glad you're back.
All right. How come Ian's allowed to say, just Google us and you'll figure it out, but we're not?
Well, hold on a second. I said on YouTube, so just search on YouTube under Canadian Prepper Podcast, and you'll find the channel.
That's because they haven't got enough subscriptions or watches to get custom titles, and we have.
There you go. Mind you, our download count's almost the same as this one now. Just saying.
Ooh,
Shots fired.
Almost the same. I said almost, not the same. Almost the same.
Well, between us, if we combine forces, we beat the pod cart.
We would.
So maybe we should.
Are you guys doing video, Ian?
Just like this. Just so we record on YouTube and then go straight to the audio.
Well, get the most of it, because only 2 more weeks, and then this feature goes away on YouTube.
Yeah, we got. What are we gonna do after this?
I'm working on a thing. All the options are terrible.
Explain.
So I guess podcasting autism time. We use Google Hangouts to record the show, which is how we live stream to YouTube, and we do audience interaction in real time because it's all integrated. It's all a single thing. And it also makes it super easy for guests and irregular panelists because there's nothing to really set up. You just click on a link and it opens up and it hijacks your camera and your microphone, and it all goes through your web browser. So there's no third-party tools or utilities or nonsense to have to deal with. Google has decided that they're going to kill the Hangouts product, which is a carryover from the failed Google social media Google Plus, which was incorporated into YouTube a number of years ago and is now going to be killed off. And its death date is August 1 of this year, which is 2 weeks from today. After that, they have replaced it with YouTube webcam, which is only good for a single participant. So if you want to live stream just yourself,
have you looked
into that?
Discord?
So I've looked into a couple of alternatives. There is no one-stop shop that's going to make my life as a host organizer person easy, because we're going to have people install third-party tools and do some IT work, and it's not going to be up everybody's alley, because honestly, we have guests that have a hard time figuring out how to get Hangouts to work, and it's literally a link that you click on.
Hey, buttons are hard.
What about Hangouts Meet?
Hangouts Meet does not broadcast to YouTube directly, as far as I'm aware, and you can only have 10,000 people watch it, and you have to all be on the same domain and be using a Google corporate account.
Fuckers.
How many people actually watch the YouTube? I mean, can we just deal with audio only?
We probably could, but it's just really easy, and I get 8 to 12 people that watch the live show, and then we get like a couple of dozen views on the video. It's not that it's the primary content channel, because it's an audio podcast, as people keep pointing out to me, but it is a channel in which we reach some dedicated listeners in a way that's convenient for them, which is why I do it. Is that we get the real-time audio, the real-time audience interaction, and it's another channel of distribution for some people that would prefer to watch or listen to, or for whatever reason would rather have this on YouTube than subscribing to it in a podcatcher app.
So yeah, Discord and like a combination of Discord with OBS and Twitch, maybe.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is basically regardless of what we do, we probably have to go to OBS, because really that's going to, as far as I can tell, that's the only way to live stream stuff to YouTube now, is going to be through OBS. There's a bunch of other front end stuff that we can do to get everybody connected, and we can talk. We can do it with Skype. We can do it with Discord. We can do it with a bunch of other services, but I can't find a single like one-click thing. And then I'm going to have to like run OBS on my end to push everything to YouTube.
Yeah,
and it's not all nice and seamlessly integrated and have all. It's just this is a very elegant solution, and I'm quite happy with it, and I'm sad that Google's going to kill it. So might bring back the Skype for everybody who remembers episodes 1 through 11. I really didn't like dealing with Skype. It's very difficult as I'd like to do the production stuff on Skype is a giant pain in my butt.
I thought you were limited to 2 people on Skype, right?
No, you can do group calls in Skype. It just like Skype, in my experience, tends to
get very laggy,
be difficult to work with.
It's always updating for some people. Yeah, no, that's what I do in one of my other podcasts. They use Skype and Audacity, and then just stitch everything together afterwards. But it's not perfect.
Well, I mean, at that point, if we're going to have everybody run their own copy of Audacity, that means we can get better audio quality. But again, then everybody has to dump their files somewhere. There's a bunch of post-production that has to happen. I already spend too much time doing post-production. I barely do any as it is. So it's just like there's no nice, clean, elegant solution like I have right now. And that makes me sad.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I wonder if anybody's going to pick up the slack on it.
Probably not.
I doubt it. It's a very niche thing. OBS probably covers it for most people. I just don't want to go through the work of setting up the front end. The actual like OBS configuration is probably not terrible, but it's like getting everybody
set up right. I mean, it's a pretty in-depth program.
Well, I only have to do it for me to
okay.
Push everything to YouTube.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But it means having to set up Discord or Skype or Twitch, like some other service that feeds into OBS on my end. To push
I like Discord. The audio is pretty nice in Discord.
I have to admit, I am not familiar with this platform. I've heard of it. Not familiar.
I use it for like when I'm playing video games. Like that's basically how I chat with everybody. And while we're playing games together.
I've never heard of OBS, but
OBS is basically just a streaming software. It basically captures your computer, what's happening on your computer, and then streams it to a third party like Twitch.
So I guess nerdy autism time. Open broadcaster software, OBS, is freeware, runs on a bunch of different platforms. It basically just screen captures whatever you see. It does a bunch of production stuff while you're on it, so you can encode stuff, you can change frame rates, you can mess with the image quality and size, but it also the function that we're specifically looking for is the streaming ability. So you can output it to a bunch of different platforms, things like YouTube and Twitch, and
you can set up like overlays and stuff like that as well with your screen, so you can have a picture of you within the broadcast, all that kind of stuff.
We played around with the lower thirds stuff before in Hangouts, and it's not. It looks cool, but the production value is not really worth it in my opinion because
it's tacky.
We're not. Well, yeah, we're not that kind of a show, right? Lower thirds don't really help us, and we don't have a control room to flip everything. So it's kind of it's a bear to maintain without somebody actually managing all the production while we're doing it. Again, it's a podcast. We're primarily audio. We get most of our 98% of our audience interaction is audio download stuff. So,
yeah.
Anyway, autism about podcasting. Do you want to hear about the kind of microphone I use next week? Marty's just given up. Marty's gone home. Okay.
Marty's.
Did we talk about everybody? Benny, did we ask you about you? I don't think we did. Benny, where can people find you on the internet?
Benny at bennylewis.ca, and we're getting more ABC of guns hopefully coming in before TACCOM, but we still have a lot of safety on. So if any of you guys know a young couple or a couple with young children that would like to learn about gun safety, it's a great storybook to teach kids how to properly handle firearms.
And certainly a better alternative than Storytime with Gallon too.
Most things are. Sorry to everybody that went to the podcast cherry shoot and had that. As always, I've been Andrew. I've been your host. I apologize for all of the technical details that most of our listeners probably don't care about how we actually get this content out to you, our valued listeners. If you'd like to hear more about this, you should get the Patreon, and maybe I'll do a behind the scenes before we have to completely change how we produce the show. For feedback, you should send us feedback, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. I have to apologize to the forgotten man, Rod Giltaka. And by forgotten, I mean Ian forgot to engage in Thunderdome.
Sorry.
It's all right.
There must be blood.
Next year, I swear, next year.
2 British Columbian enter, 1 British Columbians leave. For all
which
of
one
our...
Which one of them is moving to the States?
Oh,
I'm
that's not the
fine.
outcome I was expecting, but all right. I don't know if you know how Thunderdome works, Benny.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I got to move to the States because I lost, I'd like throw the game right off the bat. So
Yeah, it's like, like you
wait.
to move to
I
the
win.
States.
I stay on the CPP. I lose. I get to move to the States. Yeah.
I give up. Yeah.
Here, please take this weapon.
Oh my. All right, for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, send an email and remind Dave that he needs to get a hotkey for a cough button.
Pardonnez-moi.
For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.